Police make several arrests in Ashaiman as youth protest bad road network. The King David School, at the center of last week's clashes in Teshi, reopens today to continue academic work. KPMG presents report on pink sheets audit as Supreme Court resumes sitting today. Basic Education Certificate Examination BEC ends today. Hello everyone and welcome to a major briefing for today. My name is Kimini Nyamani Aman. Now stay with me, I'll bring you details of the headlines and many more stories ahead. First off, some youth in Ashaiman this morning took to the streets to mount roadblocks and take over the toll booth leading to the motorway in protest of bad nature of roads in the municipality. Now, some of the rioters also set fire to certain elements to register their displeasure. Now, security personnel have been trooping the scene to control the situation. At some point, they had to fire warning shots to disperse the teeming irate youth. Motorists who commute between Tema and Accra have had to be caught up in heavy vehicular traffic to and from their destination. The police at the scene became physical in their confrontation as some of the protesters hurled objects at them. According to Joy News' Patricia Gasu, 2 people have been arrested. Right now, so that was an earlier account of the situation in Ashaiman. But joining us on the phone is Chief Superintendent David Oklu from the area. He's going to give us an update on the situation. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Right now, we understand that you made some arrests during the situation that arose earlier today. How many people did we arrest?
So far, 11 people have been arrested in connection with the disturbances that happened this morning.
Right, did you say 11?
Yes, 11. Yes.
Have these 11 people been officially charged, and what have they been charged with?
The arrest was made as a result of the confusion. What we are doing now is to screen them and then get this about the extent of their involvement in the disturbance that happened this morning.
Right. How would you describe the general atmosphere in Ashaiman right now?
I can report that the situation is calm. Calm has been restored. Regular traffic is now moving. For the first, between 5 and 10, no vehicle could go either from Ashaiman or to Tema. But now vehicles are moving. We will be able to put off the fires that were put at the various routes, intersections. And then the police are also in town patrolling to assure residents that law and order works.
Right. So what now, Chief Superintendent? What now?
What we are doing is that we are monitoring the situation. We are looking out for people who are taking advantage of this disturbance, who have struggled within the municipality and even part of Ashaiman. And then also, as I said, to reassure residents that we are in control of the situation. They can even see that we have heavy police presence and we have support from the regional and then the national headquarters who are all here in Ashaiman helping us restore order.
Right, thank you very much. Chief Superintendent David Oklu is with the Ashaiman Divisional Police. And we reported earlier that indeed some people have been arrested, and Chief Superintendent tells us that 11 people have been arrested. There will be some form of screening, and then those who are really involved in this disturbance would then be charged and processed for court, perhaps. You're still watching the midday brief. Meanwhile, government is cautioning residents of Ashaiman involved in this morning's disturbances to desist from activities that will mar the peace in the area. At a daily briefing at the presidency this morning, Deputy Information Minister Felix Ovosukwache said government is concerned about the problems facing them, and he cautioned they discontinue any moves that will worsen the situation. You're welcome back to a major briefing of the day. Now we've been discussing, or we've been talking about the irate youth who took to the streets of Ashaiman today, causing some disturbances. Now, Chief Superintendent David Oklu has told us that 11 people have been arrested. Now, my colleague Patricia Gasu was also on the ground. She witnessed the disturbances. So she's joining us in the studio, indeed, to tell us exactly what she witnessed while she was on the ground. Hello, and thanks for your time here on the Midday Brief.
Thank you, Tikemi.
Absolutely. Now, Chief Superintendent Oklu has told us that, indeed, calm has returned to the area. At the time of your leaving, you think you could stay sane?
I can't describe it as a calm, as a normal calm. It looks like there's so much tension over there. The crowd were standing at the pavement, actually, but when they see the police approaching, they begin to run because they've had a fair share of the police beating them, firing rubber bullets and all that. So when they see the police coming, even in their armor cars and even their normal vehicles, they begin to run away.
Right. Now, I can't also stop but worry about some of these men who sustained injuries. Indeed, from our shots, we had some of them being carried away. What exactly happened to some of these people? It was
so bad. It was so bad. You know, when we got there, the police were trying to disperse them, trying to just calm them down so they speak with them, but they wouldn't agree. So you could see stones flying from the community to the street, including we, the journalists. Actually, I fell down while I was running away because one policeman had to even use a shield to protect me.
Sorry about that.
And it was so bad. And unfortunately, one driver who came to park was hit on the forehead. And one of the police thought he was also throwing the stone, so he had to just hold him by the trousers and pull him, pushing him around. And the guy was being blinded with the blood. But he couldn't move, and so one of the civilians had to come in, use a duster to tie the head, carry him at the back, and rush him to the hospital. The police did not give their cars to the civilians to take the guy to the hospital. And it was so bad. And one other policeman was also hit when they were throwing the stones.
The stones. Yeah. Right. That's sad. And then I began to think, in any case, it is not just Ashaiman that has bad roads.
That is the problem.
Like you on the ground.
That is the problem.
What were they exactly saying?
Like
maybe the bad road is just a cover-up for some long eating into their system pain. What were they saying?
It's like we all have problems, and if you don't voice it out, we will do. There are bad roads in Ghana, there are bad roads in Accra, but Ashaiman has decided to voice out their complaints. That is the only way government will get to know how serious they are with the roads. I actually saw the roads, and they are so bad. Very, very bad.
Especially around the main lorry station.
That is it. Now, heading towards the police station, it's so bad.
It's so bad. It's horrible because you can tell it takes about 30 minutes to come out of the lorry station if you intend to travel from that lorry station.
You could just imagine the traffic.
Absolutely.
It's so bad. And that is the only way they can voice out their complaint. They're saying the road has been like that for 3 to 4 years. They always complain, but nothing is being done about it. So the only way they have to do is to come out and demonstrate.
It's such that a lot of times we have to resort to some of these measures to make our leaders listen. But I could also say that it really does not warrant a lot of agitation at this sort. But what can I say? Thank you very much for your time here on a major briefing today. But one other interesting thing is that we may be paying more tolls on our road. As far as the Ghana Road Fund is concerned, we should be paying perhaps 30% more. And I'd like our viewers to take a look at the story.
Mr. Agbenato concedes the fund has not performed creditably ever since it was established in 1995, but blames this on constraints beyond their control.
There are serious challenges with the pilfering, or we call it leakages, especially at the toll plazas, toll stations. What we have decided to do was to automate these toll plazas. Once we bring in the automation, it sort of reduces or eliminates the leakages, because we are able to know the number of vehicles that pass at every point of time. And once we know that, we know what to expect at the end of the day. So our intention is to implicate the pilot that we did on the motorway and at Kaswa. We want to replicate it on the other sessions where we collect tolls.
He outlined some challenges the fund was currently facing and spoke about measures that must be implemented to reverse the trend.
The fact that we have not even been able to pay the contractors is a clear indication that the money is not enough. And most of contractors who have worked for the agencies have their bills ranging from last year, 2012. The last time we made any payment, that was in just this June. We paid up to February of last year. The bills that came to us in February last year, that is what we are able to pay. So it means that bills are still outstanding from March right down to today. So that is the indebtedness we have towards contractors. So there is the agency to increase what comes into the fund to be able to support all these activities if we want to have good roads to drive on.
This notwithstanding, he says the fund can boast of some significant achievements.
A lot of work were done, re-graveling, for example, of our gravel roads. Wa, Bulenga, Yala, about 50 kilometers of road was re-graveled. Wahabu Yala, Sombisi, Tumu, Sicily, Navrongo, they were all re-graveled.
The fund has meanwhile hinted it will undertake a national stakeholders forum before the end of the year to enable officials deliberate on the percentage increase in road tolls in order not to bring untold hardships to Ghanaians. The road tolls only 3 years ago went up in some instances by as much as 10 times.
That we did on the motor.
Right, and so we were indeed at Ashaiman today, and let me just say that some of these people who were involved in the disturbances were, some lorry drivers from the lorry station, and indeed we spoke to one of them. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
What is the meaning of road safety? The big men, what is the meaning of the road safety? Road safety is the road has to be good. Now we were using our cars, but the bump is on the road. The bump is on the road. Let the schools loose under the cars. So when we go, the car fall down. Then they say you are overspeeding. Always they say overspeeding. Always they say you are overspeeding. Who wants to take his car and make overspeeding and go down? The roads are not good. You go to police stations out there. We have a store at the roadside there to eat more, to feed our children. But they come and scatter everything there. People build a house. They scatter them all.
Then they relieve them. Now that they relieve their cars, they should come so that
they have to think about Wiki. They have to think about Ashaiman too. We were not bad people here. We are not bad people. They can know. The big man can know. We suffered our blood to vote for them. How shall Bashir to come here and then go? It is too much. It is too much. It is too much. I've worked for this country so many years and I get pension, but I supported them. If they don't do it, even if that will go back. What is the meaning of a road safety? Road safety is what? They will not think about that. The big men are sitting down there. They will not think about the road safety. Anytime they say road safety campaign, bad road campaign, yeah, they will not. Bad road campaign, they have to do that one too. Not the road safety. Bad bad road campaign too. They have to come. They have to come the bad road campaign. During the Kwame Nkrumah time, they have a road inspectors. They have a motto. You see, Kwame Nkrumah time, they have a road inspectors. If the road is not good, look at even the motorway. You cannot ride the motor. If you don't take time, you just follow in the pothole, then you die. Main motorway Kwame Nkrumah has done for us. Yes. Thank you very much. Tell them we want to do something. If they don't know, we shall be continuing without finishing the town. Ashaiman is not a bad town. We also have a sense and we are reasoning. We have a reasoning. We have a reason. We have a reason. But it's too much. Go to the town and see the roads. People build a house with a block, but they break it. They break it. They break it.
Oh, interesting soundbite there. But Presidential Task Force dealing with illegalities at the ports retrieves about 60,000 cedis for the state in just 2 weeks. Now, the Chief of Staff led task force called the Special Operations Unit has been tasked to seal all loopholes in government revenue collection. Now, some arrests, including officials from National Security, SEPs, revenue collectors, and officials of some companies, have also been made. Government says currently about 30 companies which have been engaged in these underhand dealings are also being investigated. Deputy Information Minister Felix Ofosu-Kwakye at the daily briefing at the presidency said revenue collection at the ports has also appreciated since the task force started its work. And in Mamobi, librarians at the Nima Mamobi Community Library say although the library is user-friendly and accessible to all, the noise from the surrounding mosques and major roads make it unattractive to potential users. They were speaking to Joy News' Matilda Nyakwa Dennis.
Situated at Kanda, the library was established by Canadian philanthropist Kathy Knowles in collaboration with the Ghana Library Fund for deprived children and youth in Mamobi and Nima. Built some 13 years ago, the library has both the children and adults department as well as a theater to bring out creativity. Librarian Habiba Halidu, in charge of the children's session, said patronage had dwindled due to longer school hours and extra classes, which was not the case years back. Fortunately for these kids, they are offered free lunch every afternoon and have the opportunity to increase their mental capacity by playing with puzzles after a hard day's work. A free theater is also available for them for recreation as additional benefits. The adults department of the library, which is also open to the public, has the advantage of free adult education from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. But Seth Opoku, an IPS student, believes the priority of the beneficiaries of the library falls short of learning.
For this particular community, people don't usually come to library. I think the priority of people here are not for learning. Usually they go for game centers and then for sports and other things. So the priority for this community, they have low patronage for library. At times, so people come here only when there's, let's say, time for examination. So let's say in this BEC period, you can see a lot of students coming in, especially after their papers. But when the papers are over, then less people come around.
For librarian Yvonne Okai, the problem is not solely about patronage, but the noise from the main road and surrounding mosques.
The praying of the Muslims, the mosques, the noise sometimes, it normally affects the studies here. Steps and the stores, the people that have come in to study. So it's like if you come from a very long distance to come and sit and study and you come in the noise, you just have to pack your things and then move out. And
she believes a noisy library defeats the purpose for its existence.
Right, so pupils of the King David School, the school that was at the center of controversy in last week's tertiary clashes, will allow students to go to school today following the clashes. Some parents rushed to the school to secure their children. Our reporter Abigail Enchi is at the school today. Now, we spoke to the headmaster of the school last week. He told us that today the students will go back to school. Let's find out if indeed some of the students are in school, if they are all there. And Abigail Adomako is at Teshi and she's joining us on the briefing. Hello, Abigail.
Hello.
So what can you tell us now about King David School?
Yeah, Kamini, as the management of the school rightly said, they have resumed classes and classes is going on well. The only thing is that turnout was quite low, but management of the school are attributing it to the fact that they resumed today, and usually they do it on Tuesday, so most of the students and parents think that they'll be resuming tomorrow. That is what management of the school is telling me. But speaking to the pupils, they are quite excited to be back in school and seeing their friends who are all well, seeing their teachers teaching them, and all of that. So everything is under control.
Right. Now, Abigail, when you spoke to David Ashai, headmaster or proprietor of the school, he told you that there were going to be some counselors, there was going to be police present. Can you say that these persons are available in the school?
Yeah, I met one person at the gate, and he is a security person, but he wasn't in a police attire. And I found out from management if really he was from the police, and they said that because they didn't want to scare the people, by police presence, they decided that they should put on a different attack, something not to really scare off the children.
Right.
But the police, have been there to see to the security of the school. And then counselors were there whilst they assembled them in the morning, to speak to them, to encourage them, to let them know that indeed they are safe and secured in the school. So really, yes, they have had some security personnel around, and counselors have been around. This is going to be running for some time, so the management tells me.
Right. Abigail, I don't know if you were able to speak to some of these counselors, but if you were able to, how have they told you that the whole incident has affected the psyche of these children?
Well, looking at what happened that day, any person at all would be frightened, knowing that you're going to be burnt down, not to talk of such young ones. So indeed, they have been affected. But gradually, they coming back to school to see that everything is in session, it is leaving them. The thoughts, the images, it takes some time for them to erase it. But excited that they are in school, they are with their friends, and their teachers are still around, they feel safe.
Right. Thank you very much, Abigail Adomako. It's my colleague. She joined us from King David School. If you remember, King David School was at the center of controversy indeed, while some irate young persons in Teshi threatened to burn down the school because the owner of the school is alleged to be a member of one of the factions in a chieftaincy dispute. Watching our major briefing of the day, my name is Kemini Yamaniam, and when I return, there's more news. You're welcome back, and moving on with the news. Action Aid is working towards a multi-country campaign for tax justice. It has commenced some sensitization on the phenomenon prior to embarking on a tax justice campaign. To take the process forward, AAG is holding a consultative meeting on tax justice to harness public resources and utilization. Joining me in the studio is the head of finance of AAG, Action Aid Ghana, Emmanuel Budu Ado. He's been part of the consultative meeting, and he will join us with a bit of an understanding as to what we should make of a tax justice campaign. Thank you very much, Emmanuel, for your time. But let's start with, what exactly is a tax justice campaign, or what is tax justice?
Yes, Action Aid, we believe in the rights of the people of the country.
Right.
And we are not talking about only legal and political rights, but we are also concerned about people enjoying their economic rights as well. Right. And tax is a very important component of people's economic rights. And government has that responsibility of ensuring that people are economically empowered. And government can do this by having adequate resources to be able to provide employment and also certain public services so that people can live comfortably wherever they are, not only in urban communities but in rural communities as well. We have been working in Ghana for quite some time now, and we've realized that government has not been able to adequately mobilize resources to be able to address these specific needs of the people. So the tax justice campaign is about identifying the root causes of why government is not able to mobilize adequate resources. Currently, Ghana mobilize about 13% of its GDP in terms of tax revenue, whereas in other countries it's about over 30%, over 40%. So the question is, why is Ghana not able to do that? We've identified a number of issues, and this campaign is actually trying to mobilize stakeholders to be able to address
and so what are some of the issues that you have come up with to go to say that indeed these are the root causes of our lack of mobilization?
We have identified one major issue as tax dodging, where multinationals put in place aggressive tax planning schemes so that they are able to reduce the amount of tax that they are supposed to pay to the government. And there are other issues as well. For instance, fiscal awareness of the populace, we've also seen that is also very low. So we are unable to even challenge this kind of multinational practices, and also to challenge certain government policies that do not support people's realization of their economic rights. So we have all these issues which we are partnering with other organizations to work together to build people's capacity to understand the issues so that they support the campaign, and then we ensure that by 2017 at least we are able to address a lot of the issues that we have identified.
Let's talk about tax dodging and then narrow down on multinationals who dodge tax. Indeed, I read an article on The Guardian that, in fact, Africa is poor because some of these multinationals have not done us any good. They have taken all the monies back to their home, absolutely, back to their home countries. And then also, it is not because they would like to do that or because they have no fear of our system. It's because some of us down here are dealing with them to be able to do that. Exactly. Now, my question is it possible that we can free ourselves from this somewhat neocolonialism where we give our monies freely to the people just because of a few greedy people?
Yes, nothing is impossible, especially when we come together to resolve common issues. And if you consider taxation, for some time now, we have considered tax as a technical issue. So it has been reserved for only a few technocrats who decide everything and then design policies for us to comply with. But what this tax justice campaign is trying to do is to reduce that, take away that myth.
Provide a certain atmosphere for these people to come in, then we won't survive as a nation, we won't survive as a continent. And so I'm thinking, look, it will never happen. What exactly, what I want to know is, what is ActionAid proposing to government so that we've had the policies, we've had difficulty with implementation. The mindset is not changing. So what is ActionAid bringing aboard instead of just proposing things to government and then those in charge?
Yes, what we are bringing on board is the critical mobilization of everybody in the country to understand that tax is not something that should be preserved to only a few technocrats. So that when a government is even undertaking any contract or when government is granting any incentives, the first thing that we have to ask is whether those incentives are going to add any value to the economy. For instance, you mentioned rightly that government is supposed to provide the atmosphere for business to flourish. So without revenue, how does government provide that? So we are not only just talking, but we'll also be challenging multinationals also to adopt this kind of practice, good practices, socially responsible practices, not only looking at the legal aspect of it and saying that yes, tax dodging is not illegal, and for that matter, we can do it. But the question is it socially acceptable? Is it helping to build to develop our society so that even they themselves, they can expand their market? Because if people don't have adequate disposable income, they cannot even patronize the products of these multinationals. So it's something that we have to let the multinationals themselves understand, that it is in their own interest to adopt socially responsible and positive corporate practices,
absolutely,
including tax practices.
Absolutely. And how long is the consultative meeting?
The consultative meeting was only today for us to present what we have for the stakeholders that we invited to make input into it, and also to commit to support the campaign. So it's not only ActionAid that is going to ActionAid is just taking the lead role. Then there are a number of organizations that are also working on taxation. We'll try to work with all of them so that we avoid any duplication and also ensure that we undertake an effective campaign.
Right. Quickly, is it the first of its kind that ActionAid is undertaking?
No, we started working on taxation about 2 years ago in Ghana when we started with the Submiller research. I think it was the first thing that we did. After the research, that we realized that Submiller has adopted aggressive tax planning to siphon monies from developing countries, including Ghana. We launched that report, and since then we've been doing a number of activities which the campaign is going to broaden.
Right. Thank you very much, Emmanuel. We've been talking to Emmanuel Budu-Ado. He is Head of Finance at ActionAid Ghana, which is currently undertaking a consultative tax justice campaign meeting here in the country to sensitize everybody, multi-countries, on the phenomenon of tax dodging, especially by multinationals. Anyway, let's move on with the news. And Ghanaians have gradually developed a taste for sweet-scented rice, now a common feature on the menu of restaurants and other eating places, as well as on most festive occasions. Now, most of the brands are, however, imported mainly from the United States or Thailand, or maybe somewhere in Asia. But the Crops Research Institute is in the process of developing an aromatic variety of the staple that will be uniquely Ghanaian. It will equally serve the needs of farmers, as the variety is expected to be high yielding and resistant to pests. Now, here's a story by Adedatha.
To long grains, the Ghanaian market is flooded with a variety of brands. Statistics show the country imports more than 70% of the rice it consumes, largely due to low cultivation. It is also because the local rice does not appeal to consumers because of its poor quality and taste. In its quest to develop a local variety that would meet the expectations of local consumers, the CSIR Crops Research Institute has settled on a grain that has aroma and is resistant to the blast and rice yellow mottle virus, the two most dominant rice diseases in Africa. Rice breeder with the institute, Dr. Maxwell Dakwa Asante, tells Joy News, using the marker-assisted selection, the Jasmine 85 good quality fragrant rice, which is susceptible to the two diseases, has been crossed with a disease-tolerant Dijan variety, which has poor taste and grain quality.
When the plant is still very young, I can take a little tissue, extract DNA, and use the markers to be able to know which plant has the aroma and which ones do not have the aroma. So immediately I throw away the ones without aroma if my interest is in aroma. Because otherwise you have to do visual selection, and sometimes it's very difficult, especially when you are dealing with a recessive trait. It doesn't really show up until you go to the next generation for it to segregate. The molecular markers are just like signposts to help you to know whether the gene that you are interested in is there or not. Yeah, so we use those modern technology, just DNA markers, to be able to speed up the selection.
He explains the marker-assisted selection is still conventional breeding and not genetic modification, since there is no foreign gene transfer. Dr. Asante and his team are in the process of selecting lines that have been able to combine high yield, tolerance to the diseases, and the good grain quality preferred by most Ghanaians. He says farmers in the meantime will find useful Jasmine 85 and Amankwetia rice varieties, which were released in 2009 and 2010 respectively.
The other name of that variety is called Masha. It's a very good variety. It yields well. It has aroma. Another very good variety in terms of grain quality is called Jasmine 85. It was released by our sister institute, SARI, in Temale. Those varieties alone can help us do a lot. We at the research level or at the breeding level are doing our parts. There are good varieties now. We have a lot of other good varieties in the pipeline.
According to him, Ghana can attain self-sufficiency in rice production using a value chain approach where research, production and marketing are all given the needed attention by government and other stakeholders.
Most of our lands are not well developed for lowland rice cultivation, and land development costs a lot, so the government will have to come in to support farmers to develop land, bond it very well, level it very well, and we have the technology to be able to help farmers do that. Post-harvest handling is very important. The farmers even don't have floors to dry their rice properly. So we need to help them with drying floors. We need to help them with very good rice mills.
Dr. Asante lamented the limited government support for research is not helping agriculture, a very important sector of the economy.
Large tracts of arable land located at Oklunkwanta in the Ewutu Senya East municipality of the central region have been destroyed by the activities of sand winners. Now, residents who are in a dilemma as to what to do about the situation say several reports to authorities about the situation have fallen on deaf ears, and the activities of the sand winners have destroyed the farmlands of several residents, leaving many helpless and hungry.
Oklunkwanta is a predominantly farming community in the Ewutu Senya district of the central region. Residents here grow food crops including maize, cassava, yam, sugarcane and pineapples. But over the past 3 years, the farming occupation of the residents is being threatened by the activities of sand winners in the community. The sand winners have stripped off most of the topsoil used for farming, leaving the land bare and infertile. The activities have also destroyed several plantations belonging to residents. Residents are wondering who gave the sand winners permission to go about the activities in the community. According to them, several attempts to alert authorities on the situation have proved futile.
Me papa beji asasi wahasi na olisi asasi no na odi ahwede ya ahwede focus ye pa na wakoto hu crusher ai odi bechi mahwede na ebe ye nsa ti crusher no kra ho honom ti nansen omo bae omo abese ahwede ni nyina omo abesa ho anwea ni nyina nti omo di ahwede ni nyina fry ho honom omo ase honom nyina ahwede no ba kokura anka nti obi beka kire yempo na ye de ye kohe ye kopo mu choye omo bibia omo se omo betua bibi nti ye ka kire omo se ahwede awura no kra wanya stroke oluma no kra nya stroke wo dem sisia ye nya scalp mfa no ko hospital no omo se omo ba bepe bibi kakra ma ye omo amba ya nanti ho saa ya bremi mpo dem abre na mejaye.
Some of the residents suspect the landlords from whom they rented the lands for farming to be behind the menace.
Omo amofri ko mu hanma mu ya asase wura no yese omo na omo ma ahu kwanyama omo se omo nsa na asase nso no ye nso ya listing na ya tu ahu ka ma ya hu bibia anso so omo asase no ma fa ne se omo dia nti enye se omo de ba bedo ade na tu na omo betu no eno na ska wo nti omo se nkrofo ne ama keke
ya ha de ya ho ne e bai ba ebetu nkrafo a omo ya asase wura na say your woman na omabe atutu ya sase baby a ye dua enya kakra di no na omututu obi say oma we say onu hwi obi say we so onu hwi ba not no ya penifo na asase rua no omune hu bi.
Sports is brought to you by Tigo, and that's next. That's it for this hour. My name is Kamini Nyamani Amana. I'm absolutely grateful for your company. Let's do same tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye.